Here is the interesting case from the Reverend P.H. Newnham, a vicar from Devonport in the United Kingdom. He had traveled to New Zealand as a 19-year-old in 1858, where he stayed in a hotel in Invercargill on the southernmost tip of South Island. The place, the Reverend described, was as wild could be, with few buildings or other surroundings to speak of at that time. There he ran into a sailor who had worked on the long passage over from Britain. A rough character, the sailor had been put in irons at one point on the voyage for mutinous language. When his ship reached sight of New Zealand, he led a gang of 6 men to desert the vessel and steal a whaling boat. Despite this, the young Reverend struck up a conversation with the sailor and a group of his friends. While sitting around a roaring fire, drinking, smoking, and sharing stories, they explained to the Reverend that they had a plan for the next morning. They were going to sail to Ruapuke Island, where there was a mission station. They wanted to seek out the missionary there and organize a marriage for one of the men in the group. They had extensive provisions and planned to stay a couple of days on the island to hunt wild boar. They invited the Reverend to join them, telling him he would need to be ready at 4 a.m., as the best crossing of the sandbar in the bay would be at 5 a.m. The young Reverend was keen for an adventure. He headed for bed at 11 p.m. He wrote this about it: "I left them with the fullest intention of going with them I ever had of doing anything in my life. I walked into the front part of the inn and came to a staircase. I had got up about 4 or 5 stairs when someone or something said, 'Don't go with those men.' There was certainly no one on the stairs, and I stood still and I said, 'Why not?' The voice, which seemed as if some other person spoke audibly inside my chest, said in a low tone, but with commanding emphasis, 'You are not to go.' But I said, 'I have promised to go.' The answer came again, or rather, I should say, the warning, 'You are not to go.' 'But how can I help it? They will call me out.' Then, most distinctly and emphatically, the same internal voice said, 'You must bolt your door.' All this time I had stood still on the staircase. I did not even remember there was a bolt to the door, for I recollect just for a moment thinking I must and would go on my trip, and then such a strange feeling of mysterious peril that I wondered how I should secure the door in case there was no lock or bolt. On reaching the room, I lit the candle and felt very strange, as if some supernatural presence was very near me. And so the young man was relieved to find the door did indeed have a bolt, and he fastened it before climbing into bed. Then, at 3 a.m., he was awakened by hammering on the door, followed by shouting, swearing, and cursing. He lay very still and waited for the men to depart, all the while still wondering if he had made a mistake. Morning came, and he walked down to breakfast at 9 a.m. The dining room was empty, except for a soldier who was eating alone at a table. The soldier looked up and asked him if he had heard what happened at Ruapuke that morning. 'No,' he said. 'Their boat has been capsized on the bar, and they are every one of them drowned.'